See, that's the flip side about therapy, okay? People think that's another myth, okay? For everybody that's listening and watching it, okay? Therapy is not just for the bullshit that's happening in your life. It's also can put things in perspective of the good times in your life.
Don't hold back how you feel. Welcome to the platform for the misunderstood and creatives alike. So roll a joint and pour a shot. You're listening to the Dash It Out podcast, the show that brings your after hours talk to daytime. No wrong opinions and all unfiltered. With your host, Vic Tor.
Welcome to an all-new episode of the Dash It Out show. The show which means that new talk, new co-host, new everything. And today we are joined with Linda Martin, a licensed therapist, and she's here to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of therapy and everything that comes along with it, and therapists alike. So let's go ahead and talk about some therapy truths. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I love talking about therapy and love therapy, but also all of the things that come with that.
Nice. Can you just go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I own a small private practice called Attached. So I'm based in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and I primarily see couples who are kind of at the end of their line, are like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Usually my folks come in with histories of trauma, families where they grew up in very chaotic backgrounds. So trying to navigate, like, how do I not replicate things from the past, but it's coming up in my relationships and we're triggered all over the place and I'm triggering you, you're triggering me, blah, blah, blah. So kind of working with people to really ask that question of like, is this still the spot for me? Like, is this still a good relationship for us? Or is it time to kind of part ways? And how might the things from our past be blocking us or keeping us stuck in some of these cycles? So that's all about me.
Nice. So I noticed for a lot of therapy, there tends to be a little bit of psychoanalyzing that tends to go on, which is why there's a lot of individuals that kind of shy away from it because, let's be realistic, sharing that part of yourself, that very intimate, secretive part of yourself can be very downright scary. And have there been times in which a client may came in and you spent so many therapy sessions trying to just get to the truth, and it felt like you were just turning your wheel, but you wasn't getting nowhere with them because they was being so coy with their answers? What's that process like? And then when you eventually broke that threshold to really get to know their truths, how did they react to that?
Yeah, every therapist hates this answer and we answer it for everything. Like, it really does depend on the person sitting across from you. Like, why is it that it is so hard to build trust? Is it, I've had a history of like, I've never had anyone in my life who's had my back. I've been harmed by therapists in the past. I get a lot of clients who are like, I've had this happen, this happen, this happen. So it's also like, yeah, you shouldn't come in and just trust me. Like, I am I'm trained to hear all sorts of things, and I've heard, everything there is to hear, but I'm still a stranger to you. Like, you shouldn't walk up and be like, oh yeah, I'm super happy to tell you all about my sex life and tell you all about this trauma from the past. Like, 911, so part of it is like normalizing that, yeah, it's actually pretty healthy to have some degree of wanting to build trust before you open up. I also started working with teens who were mandated to therapy and they were in a therapeutic school. So my entire training was all with a bunch of teenagers who did not want me sitting across from them. So
help me.
Nothing can compare to that experience. Being able to kind of break down some of those barriers, sitting with kids who just put their head down, who are like, you're a white lady, I'm not going to talk to you about anything. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Color for a little bit. Like, just kind of slowly letting them be like, valid, fair, you're protecting yourself.
You definitely would think you would definitely say the first session will be the introductional stage, right? No one's, like you said, no one's just going to first come in and just be like, oh, well, I seen my father beat my mom and she started doing crack and now I'm out selling crack because it helps me to get out of the house and also make money so I can leave this terrible fucked up household. Like, no one's going to sit there and dish their dirt, especially to someone they just met. So what are some icebreakers that you do as a therapist that really help your clients to really open up and to trust you?
So sometimes it's a little bit of self-disclosure. I think therapists kind of have this, and we're kind of trained that way. Like
Mm,
be very neutral. Like make sure you give everyone the same amount of time and treat everyone the same. And it's like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like why would
mm,
I treat one person the same as the next? Because that just isn't it. So I usually use a lot of like really dark humor or sarcasm, um, things like that, just to be like,
yeah,
yeah, like I know what it is to have a fucked up life and feel fucked up
right.
sometimes. And like,
Hmm.
I might be your cup of tea, I might not. But if I'm not, I want to know enough about you so that I can get you to somebody that's going to feel better. And usually that's kind of the shift for people. Like,
Right.
okay, you're not trying to convince me that you're the one. Like,
Hmm.
I'm here to sort of see, okay, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I think actually might help you. And it might not be me. And usually that kind of starts to take down some of the barriers. And then, yeah, there's not like a huge
Mm.
formula because it is so different person to person.
No, for real. I can say for a fact you coming on the show is equivalent to going to a therapy session, right? We get to know each other, we talking, and it feels like with me per se, like how I feel in this current moment, I feel like there's a lot of relatability about you, and that makes it comfortable, makes the process comfortable. Like, okay, I can vibe with Linda. She's pretty cool. She's pretty chill. Now, don't get me wrong. I had therapists here on the show before. In other cases, it felt like I was slightly being psychoanalyzed, but not too much. But then it got to the point in the show I was just like, "What you think?" After the 30 minutes of us talking, like, what do you perceive from me? And yeah, so it was just things like that. But let's go ahead and talk about some myths, okay? There's definitely a lot of myths when it comes to therapy that once you go to therapy that your problems is going to be resolved automatically and that
It's a
therapy works
mystery.
for every individual. What are some myths that you've came to realize while working in this particular field?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is actually something that therapists come across. I I do a lot of supervision and stuff like that, but
Mm,
even in my own experience, the biggest thing is like you can't think your way out of feelings. I think a lot of us get into this field because we're like, if I can figure it all out, then I will be healed and I can heal others, blah 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 blah. But it's like, oh, actually, you can learn all the things in the book, but you actually have to just sit and be in your feelings and be
mm,
able to be comfortable with the discomfort of like, that's kind of always and forever how it is. Not that you can't change and not that things don't shift and move and you feel more at peace within yourself, but
mm,
your problems aren't going to magically go away. Like, you're not magically going to not feel hurt about the abuse that you had, or you're not going to magically not sometimes have triggers from A, B, or C. It's more like, how do I sit with that discomfort? And I think a lot of therapists get into the field thinking, if I could just figure this out, then I can kind of win therapy and I can bypass all the like processing and sitting with the discomfort.
We've got a
And I think that
winner!
like then shows up in the therapy room. We give people tools and we say, just, do A, B, and C, and then your behaviors will change and you'll feel better. And it's like, well, no, not really. And if you've grown up in all chaos,
Right.
being actually in a steady, stable place feels really fucking scary. And no one really talks about that. So we don't kind of normalize that shifting into like a healthier place is actually really scary. And that's often where people struggle more. It's like, I know all the shit that got me here, but what do I do now that things are stable? Now that I'm in a relationship where it's healthy and I'm treated like a normal person, what do I do with that? Because I'm scared that the other shoe's going to drop at any
Right.
moment.
Right. See, that's the flip side about therapy, okay? People think that's another myth, okay? For everybody that's listening and watching it, okay? Therapy is not just for the bullshit that's happening in your life. It's also can put things in perspective of the good times in your life. So for one, if you start a new relationship and it's something that you haven't became accustomed to because you just gone through all the extra BS in your life, and you're just trying to put things in perspective. Now you're overwhelmed with emotions, not necessarily sad or agitated, but you're just overwhelmed with emotions. You're like, oh, I just got this promotion. I'm in a relationship. Things just progressively moving in the right direction. Therapists are, in a sense, are that conscious in you. Okay, in a way. And I don't know if that makes sense, but you're kind of like that
Yeah.
conscious. Okay, sometimes it's hard to trust yourself when you're overwhelmed with so many things that's going on. You hear your friends saying this, your family saying that, you hear society saying this. And I feel like therapists kind of sit you down and be like, okay, let's take a minute, let's breathe. Now, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Okay. And then you kind of help put things in perspective. I definitely gone to therapy. The crazy fucking thing is I never went to therapy when I had problems. It was always when I had something great going on in my life. And I just felt the need to just share that because sharing it with family and friends was a bit draining and exhausting. It was always
Okay.
as if my achievements was either never good enough or that I didn't deserve it. And that was like, it didn't make sense to me. So I got to the place where I just never really shared it with them. When I did share them with them, it's after a grace period of talking with either my peers, therapists, counselors, mentors. But I feel like with therapists, it was so many exercises that help along with it. So it's not just the talking aspect. It's also about putting things into perspective. It's also the exercises to help if you ever feeling that way again. So there's always takeaway factors when you go to therapy. And that's what I felt like it was the takeaway for me. And that's why I went to therapy when I was in a great state because I can be stubborn. Okay. Let me tell you this. I can be very fucking stubborn. I'm one of those that when I went to therapy session, it took me a minute to really break down my walls. Okay. That's why I had to ask you that first question because I was that one, like after that fifth session, it was like you finally getting somewhere with me. But then it was like, I kind of resort back to the first stage. And it was like, and I could see the frustration in the therapist's face, like, you know what? This is exactly why I'm getting paid for this shit. And I started feeling worse. I was like, you know what? How can I get the help that I'm seeking if I'm not trying to do the internal work? And that is where everything kind of fit into place for me. Like you said, it's not a one fix all, and everyone that comes to therapy is different. But you have to be willing to put in that work. Like first session, second session, third session. Okay, understandable. You get to know them. Bullshit if you want. Be very coy with your answers. It's okay. But after a while, it's a reason why you keep coming. Like, even though you say some things are mandated, it's a reason why I was mandated. Okay? Just to work through the bullshit, work through your problems. And then maybe you may find that, okay, you know what? I'm not the only one in the world that's going through this. And actually, you know what? This is something I wish I would have known way before this problem started. And I don't know, definitely, y'all should give yourself a lot more credit, okay? And definitely give yourself a lot more credit because taking on that is like taking on other people's problems and other people's world, and that is like a lot to deal with.
Yeah. And, I can relate to the stubbornness. I took years before, like, now I finally have a very fun relationship with my therapist and I can joke around with her but it took a while and, like, I'm in this field. But, I think the other piece of it is, like, how do I sort of stay as, like, a witness, a guide, like, give someone something practical, right? We can go back and, like, analyze our childhood day in and day out, and that's not going to change or help you tomorrow when you have to confront your family or tell your family about something good that happened. It's like, okay, no, I actually need some practical things to practice and use.
Yeah.
But it's also recognizing, like, when to turn things on and off. And I think that's been, like, a really big shift in my work is saying, okay, as a kid, you had to be hypervigilant and you had to do this and you had to read everyone in the room because if you didn't, you were going to get smacked. You were going to get kicked out of the house, whatever.
Right.
But now you're showing up to your partner and the second they shift their mood just a little bit, you're in fight or flight mode and you're about to, like, go off on them or you're shutting down. So how do you turn things up and down? And when you go back to your family, you may actually have to put that hypervigilance back on, but maybe not to the same degree. Or maybe you also have ways to kind of cool your systems down before and after. So it's also kind of finding this balance of it's not like you're healed and then you can be the same person in every setting. Like sometimes you actually do need some of those protective parts from the past to come back in. So it's just kind of helping figure out, like, which styles are working for you in each setting.
No, seriously. So recently, me, my best friend, my sister got in a huge argument. Now, remind you, I'm staying in New York City as well. I'm in New York, Manhattan, Midtown. So originally, they're supposed to be coming to see me for my birthday. That was the whole plan. So, like, I was like, it's cool. I'm not really planning on doing nothing. So I'm constantly being heckled and getting called and harassed by them. Like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, X, Y, and Z. And remind you, I'm originally from Washington, D.C., okay? So I purposely moved. I went through a trauma back in 2 years ago. And so I left because it was so toxic. It was a toxic environment. And I had to leave to focus on myself and my career and school and whatnot, and everything else that came with that. And as of recently, my best friend was like, oh, well, because I wouldn't allow her to bring another body, another energy, somebody I don't even know of
Oh,
into my home, into my space. It was an issue, and the fact that I had boundaries, she not respect that. So it was a
What
whole
did you
issue. And
say?
then this morning, I woke up to a text like, "Well, I'm working Wednesday anyway, so don't worry about me coming." I'm like, all because somebody you know for 5.2 seconds, you're gonna go ahead and let 12 years go down the drain because I said I don't really know them. I'm not about to sit here and like accommodate them. By all means, if you want to get a hotel and you want to sit there and have them come along with you, yes, you want to introduce them to me, sure. But you cannot get upset if I'm not allowing them to stay in my apartment for 2 days and I don't even know them. And you've been pushing the issue to spend time with me. It was like
yeah.
very frustrating. It was kind of the same thing with my sister. I'm like, okay, so are you really coming to see me, or you utilizing this trip as a vacation for yourself? Because if it's my birthday, it's my day, my time, and my household, I should have a say in the matter. But it was things like
Yes!
that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's hard to like change out of that. I think when you start setting boundaries where maybe like, and I don't know what it was with your best friend and sister, but I know for my own experience, it's like, okay, yeah, for the last 10 years, I've kind of accommodated whatever you've said. And now that I'm setting a boundary, it feels like a personal attack to them. And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's kind of your responsibility to sit with those feelings. Like, I don't have to be an asshole about it, but like, yeah, I don't
yeah.
want that. And like, that might feel hurtful for you. Like,
No, I
in a
definitely
nice way,
do.
like,
Like
but that's you to deal with.
exactly. And so when you said like kind of taking on like past, well, I just call it like past protectors, or
Yeah.
tactics that helped you with coping with certain situations. In this case, she just reminded me, okay. In fact, she just reinforced my boundaries and just reinforced everything in which that I was building since I moved. And so I was like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for sitting here and making me remember as to why I did what I did. Because last thing I need was to bring that back into my life. And obviously, I'm in a state in my life where I'm changing, and you are not. You are regressing back to your old ways, and I do not want no part of that. And that was a conclusion I had to come to. It was a little painful. It was
Mhm.
hurtful, and yeah. So yeah, you got to remind yourself
Oh.
as to why you did what you did, and hold on to those coping mechanisms, because it helped guide you. And I personally do not feel like I did anything wrong. I can sleep good at night. All types of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the other piece. Like, there's a lot of grief that comes with boundaries. Like, we tell everyone, like, they're good, they're healthy communication, blah, 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 blah. But one, not everyone's going to receive that in the way that
Hmm.
you're providing it. And so it has to be like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to hit my head against the wall over and over again with you. Like, sometimes the boundaries, I know I don't ever have to explain them to you because you're not actually able to take them in. And then on the other side, it's like also making space for like, there is grief with that because
Hmm.
I can't have the same closeness with you that I
Sad.
did before because I would give up too much of myself. But like, there's a grief of the relationship and the grief of like healing also comes with like a lot of personal death. Like parts of me have kind of died or they've melted away. And even though I feel like I'm in a better place, like there is loss there. And so it's like
Right.
balancing those things, which it's complicated. I don't think we talk about that grief part of it, like feeling like I've moved on from this, but I'm still connected to all these people or these places. And I don't know if it's like that with like DC for you, but like, okay, how do I stay connected to something that also is toxic for me, but I don't want to
Yeah.
completely cut it off either.
This has been like a therapy session for myself, because I
So
definitely was
I
like,
really
I'm
try
just
not
thinking about
to.
this, and this is recent. This was like a day ago, so I'm like very fresh. It's a very fresh wound, and like I just came to that conclusion, like, Victor, like you have to remind yourself, because you're not the same person you was a year ago, let alone 2 years ago. And it's like, yeah. So it was a lot. It was a lot. But let's go ahead and move along. Move along.
Yeah, yeah,
That's in the
yes.
past. Okay, that is in the past. Cool.
Perfect.
I
Yeah,
got I
you
got
got
my
it, dude.
5 minute therapy session. We good. Okay, so
Just let it
what
go.
is your opinions on the app BetterHelp? I'm pretty sure you're familiar with BetterHelp.
Yeah, yeah. I actually I still contract with Talkspace in a very, very different I host things, but I was a therapist at Talkspace years ago, and I had a therapist through BetterHelp. Um, and at the time when I started, it was really nice. Like when was I? I was pregnant and going through like a traumatic birth. And so I had like my therapist on my phone that I could just text to be like, it's 3 a.m. I'm freaking the fuck out. And what do I do? And da da da. And like,
Right.
I kind of was able to get it out and send it off and then be like, you'll see it whenever you see it. Um, and so back then it was really nice. Talkspace actually had these amazing speakers that would come on. There was somebody who was talking about like polyamory within therapy, which is like at the time was not being talked about anywhere, like had these really
Right.
kind of progressive things. And then stuff started to kind of shift. Like it started to become more, and part of it was like a good thing. You wanted to make sure that people were actually getting care. Like as you're growing as a company, there's more therapists out there. And you have to make sure like, okay, is everyone actually meeting what they need?
It started to become a
But
little
that
too
came with
commercialized.
a little bit, yeah. And then it became really like, if you don't check in by this point, then you get 5% less of your pay. Like it was just all these like little micromanaging things. And it was like, the reason this worked was the flexibility of it. And you're going so far in the other direction that like I don't think my clients were getting a better care. So I ended up leaving. And I don't think it's, I think therapists have very strong opinions about companies like this and for valid reason, but I can see the idea and I can see how it was when it first started. And I think there were some really great things to it, but I think what they've become has made it really hard because it is affordable for clients. But are
Yeah.
you actually getting the care you need when people are just writing back because you have to like beat the timer basically versus
Yeah.
like taking your time to say, okay, I'm going to like be thoughtful about my response. I'm going to give you a voice memo back. I had some really great clients that I worked with, but it just started to become like, I have to check this box for this client. And that didn't feel right for
Yeah.
me. And now on the other side, in private practice, like we have to do it all. So if you own your business, and I imagine you have some degree of this running your show, like I have to know how to market. I have to know how to do my billing. I have to know and that is not I'm good at. I'm not good at marketing. I'm not good at putting myself out there. And
Yeah.
now I'm competing against these companies that have billions and millions of dollars. So they're the first thing that comes up on every Google search. So I think it's really hard to be in these like smaller private practice spaces when there are just such these big companies that have endless supplies of money and teams to kind of market. So that's the other area that's really starting to feel pressured for a lot of therapists.
Yeah. So my headphone died. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Look, this is why Bluetooth isn't always ideal, but I do not want to sit there and have like a chunky headphone on. I'm good
Yeah.
with that. Bluetooth just made it a little bit more convenient, and so yeah. But yeah. So there's been a lot of debate when it comes to these online, apps for therapy, and a lot of therapists feel very strongly about feeling like therapists are disposable. Like, okay, if you don't
Aw,
want your therapist, you can go ahead and just scroll down and click
boo.
another one. After they already put in this time and energy to develop and cultivate a very strong bond with you to really help you out. And then in any given moment, you just feel like, okay, well, you know what, I'm good. And you just go to another therapist. It kind of feel as though you're very disposable in a sense. And that is how I'll be looking at it. So when you say that your in-person private practice, I think that's still it's a reason why that is very lucrative. It's the reason why like places like Talkspace, BetterHelp, and all these other social media, social apps for therapy. It's usually why they was able to branch off of that because it's still lucrative to this day. Like me personally, I feel more comfortable with seeing someone face to face, talking face to face. Not only does it help with let's say like if you may suffer for like loneliness or separation anxiety or whatnot, it kind of really helps to ground and center you. For me, I know for a fact for me, but in most cases, I know a lot of people that feel very strongly about that as well. But yeah, I just want to get your view on it because I know a lot of therapists who like, or they like, okay, it's cool, no, but it's like not that. Like you said, you trying to beat the clock, like, and it's like at what given point where when you actually involved with the client and not just involved with what the app says you have to do. And I think that can be a bit distracting, and it could take away and be a little disheartening for the client. They really knew what was going on behind the scenes. That's just one of the dark truths about it sometimes. It's like, look, unless you want to pay another service fee, our time is about done. And that's the sad, sorry truth. Speaking of service fees, okay, why are they priced so high, and where does the money go?
For private pay sessions.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is kind of my biggest thing with therapy. Our session rates are high, like they're really high, and we don't actually get a lot of money in our pockets.
Oh, fuck!
So if you work at an agency, you're getting a percentage of what the client pays. So let's say you pay $100, you might be getting $50 per session. Then the business side, and I've now seen it on both ends of this, you're paying taxes. You're paying taxes on through your payroll. You're paying taxes to each state that you're connected to. And if the amount of times I've gotten bills for like $7 you owe to New Jersey, or why don't you file in this state? Because I haven't worked in that state for 10 years. I don't know. So it's all these like little fees that really add up. And then, like I said, you're having to like market, which, especially when you don't know what you're doing, you're either paying a really high price for somebody else to do it, or you're spending hours each week doing it on your own. And all of that's unpaid. Doing documentation's unpaid. Supervision, if you're doing supervision, is unpaid. So there's all of these things. So I know so many therapists that see 30 clients a week, are working 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week. And at the end of the day, they're getting $80,000 a year. Like, it's not this really, even though if you looked on paper and said, okay, you're charging 100, you're charging 250 per session, like, how are you not making a ton of money? And it's like, when you see how it all gets broken down, I know therapists who like own group practices and can't even pay themselves because of all the fees that go into owning a business. And then you work with insurance, and insurance can pay you whatever they want. And you're legally not allowed to share what insurance pays you, so they can like control the market.
I know, because you already know, like, once you hit a certain tax bracket, IRS is coming for their coin. They're coming for that. But I never knew about having practices in different states and getting taxed in different states. I never knew that. Is that because you had offices in Jersey? Is the reason why you got billed, or is it because you have clients that's in Jersey? Like, how do that work? Like,
yeah, so I'm learning all about this on the fly as well. But so I have a virtual practice. So I live in New Jersey. I'm like 5 minutes from the New York state line. I moved here from California, so getting my license was a whole thing. Got in New York, but not New Jersey. So I could see somebody from New Jersey. They had to live in New York. But if they were to come to my office, I wouldn't be allowed to see them. It's like all this like kind of weird, messy stuff. But because I lived in New Jersey, I'd have to pay tax because I live in New Jersey. Then I have to pay New York tax because my clients are in New York. And then other states have different ways of doing it. So you have to pay a fee to have even a virtual office in like Texas. And I think Florida has the same thing. Other states, you're only taxed on the income that you earn from that state, but you have to file with like the Department of Labor and 5 other things. Like, there's all these other regulations on, okay, you have to open this thing. In Florida, it was like, you have to open a registrar down in Florida, and then you could see people, even though you're physically, I'm still sitting in my office in New Jersey that I've been at for 10 years.
wow.
So.
That is fucking insane. I would be so over it. Not in the sense like, as far as my career, but I would be over it in the sense like, wow. Like, I'm sorry, Lynn. I'm sorry. That's a lot. I never knew this. It's very interesting because you would think, you don't want to think nothing of it, but that's the business aspect of it, right? That's the ugly side. You try to help somebody.
Guilty for charging what we do. Like, we don't want to charge people that. We get that it's a hindrance, but then
you still have to eat, right? You still have to eat.
Yeah. And you see,
Okay, look, you
you
get
see
it how you
therapists
get
like
it.
burning out left and right because of it. They're like, I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Fair, I get
You
it.
definitely still have to eat, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with utilizing your gifts and your professionalism and getting compensated for your work. Now, you're just like doing 90 hours a week. Now, that is fucking absurd. I'm sorry. Like, even after 40 hours, I'm drained. So, 90 hours, yeah, like, get your bread. Get it how you get it. That's the American dream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's go ahead and move it along. I have a game that I want to play, and I'm not sure if you're up for it. Please say yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, I got to tell you what type of game it is. I gotta tell you what game it is. Okay, first. Okay, it's nothing too crazy. It's called the Dash Dash. Okay, and essentially what the Dash Dash is, it's just a hypothetical scenario in which you would just fill in the blanks. The answers do not have to be literal. Okay, but just a little fun way to kind of get us out of our heads, all that good stuff. Just for the audience and listeners to be able to get to know you a little bit more on the level. And so let's play. You ready?
Sure.
All right, let's do the Dash Dash. Let's just play the Dash Dash, okay? It's a weird name, but we're going to do it anyway. Okay, so I'm going to ask the first question, okay? In fact, I'm going to go ahead and start it off just so you can kind of get the gist of how this is going to go. All right, so the first question is, if you love something, then I guess it's blank. And if it's blank, then it will pay my bills. So, it's a little weird, but I got you. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. Okay. All right, so I'm digging in my dash trying to figure out what I'm going to say. Okay. If you love something, then I guess it's my priority. And if it's everything, then it will pay my bills.
Okay.
Okay. Something like that. Okay. So for you, if you love something, then I guess it's blank. And if it's blank, then it would pay my bills.
So if you love something, then it must be worth it. And if it's worth it, then it will pay my bills.
Okay. There we go. You can do that too. The second question is, this is just for you, okay? When I was in college, I blank and realized that blank.
Oh, too many thoughts. When I was in college, fucked around a lot and realized I spent a lot of time overthinking.
Awesome. You know, the funny thing is, when you started answering, I honestly thought you were going to say, when I was in college, I fucked around a lot and realized that I found out. I don't know why, but okay, you know the saying, they fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely can get that. I don't think I was really thinking that much, honestly. I kind of wish I would have. Well, it depends on the class. It really depends on the class. Like my communication class, my performance study class, love them. I think a lot of my academics, I just kind of like, I actually did the process. Everything else was just like, I can just really care less. I should have probably thought a little bit more about everything. But anywho's, here we are today here on the Dash It Out Show, having a little crazy, quirky segment, Dash Stash. Okay, with Miss Linda Martin here. So off to question number 3, okay? 3. Here we go. My therapist told me blank, so I blank with the hopes of blank. My therapist told me blank,
Okay.
so I blank with the hopes of blank.
Okay. My therapist told me not to be a broom. So I stopped doing things to be useful so that I could chill the fuck out.
Okay, there we go. And she stopped being a broom? What is a broom?
So we were talking about something, and she's like, we were talking about relationships, and she said this thing that sticks with me. She's like, well, why do you do that? I was like, well, I'm useful. Like, I have to be useful. Like, I have to be useful to them to stay in this relationship. And it was like kind of relationships in general. And she's like, Lynn, a broom's useful. Do you want to be a broom? I was like, oh. I really fucking hate you for saying this.
That is pretty dope.
Yes.
Thank you for elaborating on that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, interesting. Okay, shout out to your therapist. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the fourth one. Let's just go to blank because being here is like being blank. I'm gonna repeat that. Let's just go to blank because being here is like being blank.
Let's just go to Marita because being here feels cold.
Wow. I was gonna say let's just go to sleep because being here is like being sleep deprived.
That also works.
Oh, so weird.
Yeah, no. True.
Let's get to the very last question, okay? And it's gonna be I parked my car in a blank. And now it's blank.
I parked my car in a parking lot and now it's lost. Which is something I say regularly.
I mean, hey, that happened, right? I definitely know people who park their car in the parking garage and can't find it. And they literally walk around with their key trying to hear it. I'm like, you don't remember when you parked, but no, it happens. Life happens. Okay, but yeah, that's it. That concludes the dash, which is pretty much something just to kind of think about a little bit in our heads and kind of get out of our heads and, all that good stuff.
Okay,
But yeah,
that's
you
fun.
did great. And also, once again, shout out to your therapist because that was definitely interesting.
Yes.
A broom is useful. Okay, interesting.
I always think about this
Interesting.
now.
But
Don't
yeah,
want to
so,
be a broom.
but yeah, so do you have anything that you want the listeners to know or you have any, want to shout out your works where they can find you if they want to book a session with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so my practice is called Attached NY. I'm a marriage and family therapist. And then I have a website, Attached Therapy, and another website, relationshipindecision.com. And that's all for my couples who want to do discernment, trauma work, things like that. So you can check me out.
Perfect. Look, all the information will be listed in the description box. Wherever that description box is, I don't know. It could be on my face, for all I know. Like, I know they're always changing. Sometimes at the left, right, the bottom. It's wherever. But I know on the My Dash It Out show website, it's definitely going to be listed on the right side, okay? At least I hope. But at least I remember that it was this on the right side. But it's going to be listed. All the information for Linda Martin, everybody, is definitely going to be listed in the description. So this concludes this episode of the Dash It Out show. And this is my awesome co-host, Linda Martin, everybody. So let's give her a round of applause, right? Round of applause. But no, thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been a blast. You've definitely been insightful, enlightening. Definitely been very, very intriguing, okay? Thank you for telling us about, therapy, the goods, the bads, the uglies, the great. And just kind of like introducing you to everybody. It's pretty epic.
Awesome. I really enjoyed our conversation, so thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you already know. And everybody who's listening, watching, or the audio, the video, whatever you're doing, okay? If you like this episode, go ahead and follow us at my-it-out.com and also follow us at my-it-out on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you get your social media, like literally. And also follow us on every podcast streaming platform that's out there. You're going to follow us on everyone, even the ones I don't even know of. That's going to be automatically distributed when I release this episode because there's something out there that I don't even realize that is out there. I literally go to Google and go to Dash It Out and I see a whole new social media page. I'm like, what is this? And then it turns out because there's so many new platforms of podcasting that's coming out nowadays, and the show has always been distributed on new platforms. So what I'm gonna have to do is all just follow each and every last one of them, okay? We're constantly growing. This family here is always growing. So shout out to the Dash fam. Thank you again, Linda Martin, coming on the show. And this concludes the Dash It Out show. Until next time, I'm your host, Vic Dash Tour, and I'll be out. Bye.
Bye.